Hi, my name is Phobos and you are watching A Game to Remember. Today we dive into the realm of handheld games, and boy, I do have an awesome classic game for you. When asked about their favorite The Legend of Zelda game, most people would either say Ocarina of Time for the Nintendo 64, or they would say A Link to the Past for the Super Nintendo. Personally, I consider myself a member of the Ocarina of Time camp. In my opinion, nothing has surpassed the greatness of this part. However, if one is asked about their second most favorite part in the franchise, the answer is not necessarily default to A Link to the Past. Some people might prefer Majora's Mask, others might prefer the original The Legend of Zelda for the NES, and even others might prefer the newest titles like Twilight Princess or Skyward Sword. If I was asked for my opinion on the second greatest installment in the Zelda franchise, I would have to give the edge to a whole other game though, even over A Link to the Past. My second place has to go to Link's Awakening for the Game Boy, or respective of course, Link's Awakening DX, the remake for the Game Boy Color. Today's episode will be on a sweet little puppy that you had to take care of. I'm talking about BowWoW, and of course I'm not talking about the rapper. This is how I remember Link's Awakening and rescuing the Chain Chomp from the Moblins. Welcome to The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, one of the most underrated Zelda games of all time. I remember this game vividly and can almost recall every secret. That's something that most people connect with Zelda games. The first time I heard about this game was when I was really young, maybe 5 or 6 years old. It was 6:30 on Saturday morning and I remember watching TV with my parents when suddenly a commercial on Link's Awakening came up. It's the German version, so don't mind the subtitles. I guess the commercial was international though.
Down with Zelda from the very start. I got the heart and smarts to play the part. Down with Zelda. Creeping through with an overhead view, cause a man's gotta do what a man's gotta do. So I stay on track, collect the facts, never cut slack, and I always watch my back for jacks. Down with Zelda, yeah. Strong I stand, I'm the man with the plan, cause the power's in my head and the power's in my hand. Down with Zelda.
That's so 90s, but really? Video game commercials back then were more than corny. I mean, come on. What does this rap nonsense have to do with the game, apart from a few scenes of gameplay footage projected on the walls? It could have been a commercial for a new rap album or car tires, fuck if I know, but this was more embarrassing than anything else. But sadly, that's what got me hooked to this game. Video game commercials were not that common back in the day, so you just went with the things you heard of. And since my brother was always playing A Link to the Past for the Super Nintendo, I wanted my own share of Zelda games. That's when I got my first Game Boy plus Zelda and Super Mario Land, and the rest is history. But now for starters, the game picks up right after the intro sequence with you lying in a bed in Marin's and Terran's house. After you've retrieved your sword from the beach, you are sent on a quest to wake up the windfish by collecting 8 instruments from their respective dungeons. According to the annoying owl, you only hope of ever leaving Coaland Island. Honestly, I played through the game several times in German, but only once in English, and I really have to say that they messed up the translation badly. It's not that they mixed up anything or translated anything outright wrong, it's more how they translated the game into German. On the one hand, they tried to make the game as child-friendly as possible, but on the other, there are some really questionable translation decisions, which were removed from the DX remake by the way. Maybe I get to them in another episode, because there's some creepy stuff in the original version, you can believe that. Now, after going through some early questing in the woods and finishing the first dungeon, you return to the village only to be informed that something happened at BowWoW's house. Apparently the Moblins have stolen Madame Meow's dog. Yeah, I'm not making up these names, it is what it is. After you track the Moblins down and defeat their leader, you would finally rescue BowWoW, and at the time I was kind of confused what I was supposed to do with this so-called dog. Returning to the forest, I realized pretty fast that this beast has an enormous appetite. Just watch, that thing swallows a Moblin in no time. As you may or may not know, there are several Mario references in Zelda Link's Awakening. There's Yoshi, Goombas and flowers coming up of pipes, and even Taron has a striking resemblance to Mario. So when I played Mario 64 for the first time, I actually thought the black ball-shaped beast was a reference to BowWoW in Link's Awakening in the first level of said game. Today I know that I was wrong, because BowWoW was a so-called chain chomp, and they have been around as soon as Super Mario Bros. 3 for the NES. And I actually don't know why I never associated BowWoW with the ones in Mario 3. That's kind of weird, but well, you never know. Well, after you return BowWoW to her rightful owner, she thanks you, but also asks you to take her dog out for a walk. You're not even given a choice here, you had to take this eating machine for a walk, whether you liked it or not. At the time I wasn't even sure why I had to do this kind of crap. The only thing I remembered was something about a swamp. Because after each dungeon you would be given a hint where to search for the next one. And since the swamp was just close by, I decided to go there. Might as well take the dog with me. And there I realized why you had to bring BowWoW along. Like I already said, this ball-shaped killing machine swallows pretty much everything in one stroke, even living fire-shooting swamp flowers, which are like 10 times the size of him. Damn. How do all these monsters fit in his stomach? There must be some kind of black hole in it. Crazy. However, the most unfortunate part about taking BowWoW for a walk was that although he devours enemies left and right, you had little to no control over his eating habits. It was completely random if or when BowWoW decided to nom 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 on the monsters. The only thing that you could do was to stand as close to the enemy as possible and then hope that BowWoW would eat them. Sometimes that led to circumstances like these. Oh, come on. Not that one. Finally, thank you. At least BowWoW made sure that you can enter the second dungeon. And as soon as you've defeated that genie in a bottle clown face boss and added the next instrument to your collection, you were off to bring the dog back to Madame Meow. BowWoW was back in his yard and you were off to dungeon number 3. At this point you really had to take care of your money because you had to get a shovel and some extra equipment. And there's actually one particular story in relation to the shop in Link's Awakening that I want to share with all of you guys. But that's another story. And that's all I got for you today. Thank you very much for watching this episode of A Game to Remember. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to press the like button, it's really much appreciated. I also have another announcement. From now on, A Game to Remember will always air on Monday, Wednesday and Friday, so you can tune in on these days and expect awesome nostalgic gaming moments. But until then, I hope you enjoyed this episode and I will see you guys next time. Take care, have a good one and goodbye.